But this is where he was discovered.
Those rocks become sails. They slide right along the surface.
Have you ever trekked through mountains or journeyed into the heart of nowhere, only to chance upon something completely unexpected?
Gobi Desert. We know that some ancient alien civilization didn't do this. Satellites, whatever it is, they always want to know where they are.
That eerie feeling of discovering something out of place in the vast expanse of wilderness is a fascinating part of human nature. Join us as we show you 20 surprising things found in the middle of nowhere. Number 20. Mystery Spot in Oregon.
Uncovering one of Oregon's longest-running mysteries.
Near the town of Gold Hill, Oregon, there lies a patch of forest where the normal laws of physics seem to malfunction. Balls can appear to roll uphill, brooms stand up on their own, and people's heights seem to change based on where they stand. This is the Oregon Vortex, better known as the Mystery Spot. The Mystery Spot spans an area of about 150 feet across, ringed by dense forest. In this zone, strange distortions of perspective, balance, and spatial awareness occur. Water appears to flow upwards, pendulums swing chaotically, and objects roll against gravity. Visitors often feel dizzy, disoriented, and unsure of their footing within the vortex. Potential explanations include unusual magnetic or gravitational forces emanating from mineral deposits below. Some have proposed intersecting ley lines, creating psychic energies concentrated in the spot. Skeptics argue the site simply exploits visual illusions due to the surrounding terrain and trees. Whatever the true cause, the mystery spot has puzzled both scientists and tourists for decades. The effects feel very real and unsettling when experienced firsthand. The vortex blurs the line between psychic mystery and scientific anomaly. Is it a disruption in the underlying fabric of reality, or is the strangeness of our own senses turned back upon us? The mystery spot invites us to challenge our assumptions about the solidity of the world itself. Number 19. UFO in Romania. In the dense woods of rural Romania, a strange sight was captured by a hiker's drone camera. Hidden among the trees was a metallic, disc-shaped object that appeared strikingly similar to descriptions of flying saucers and UFOs. The drone operator approached cautiously, maneuvering his drone around the trees to get a better look at the unexpected find. The object had the classic domed top and flat bottom of a typical flying saucer, spanning approximately 30 feet in diameter. It reflected the sun's rays like polished metal, though areas were covered in dirt and obscured by foliage. As the camera panned around the object, a figure could be seen looking up at the drone from below the trees. Startled, the drone operator quickly withdrew. Many online speculated that this was definitive proof of extraterrestrial visitors. However, skeptical analysis suggested that the UFO was simply an old water tank left abandoned in the remote woods. The figure spotted below was likely a hiker who stumbled upon the tank as well. While truncated for practical use, the tank's basic shape does resemble speculative UFO designs. The surrounding trees and remote location added an air of mystery, but without fully exploring the area or contacting local authorities, the drone operator was unable to determine the object's true origins. Romania's expansive forests still hide many ruins and relics of the past waiting to be discovered. While not as thrilling as a crashed flying saucer, this image highlights the allure of exploring the unknown. Even a water tank can ignite our imagination when seen out of context. But it also serves as a lesson to carefully analyze unusual sights before jumping to fantastic conclusions. Number 18. Forgotten arrows across America. Scattered across the remote American landscape are massive concrete arrows, some over 70 feet in length. Mostly forgotten relics of the past, they were originally constructed in the 1920s as aerial navigation guides for pioneering airmail pilots. In the early days of aviation, pilots flew low and navigated by sight rather than by instruments. With no GPS or digital maps, following the postal airmail route required visual clues. Thus, enormous concrete arrows were built on the ground, painted bright yellow, and accompanied by lit beacons for increased visibility. They guided airmen delivering mail from coast to coast. By 1924, some 1,800 arrows had been built along the airmail route at 10-mile intervals. They remained in use until the 1940s when radio communication made them largely obsolete. Over decades, most succumbed to weathering, demolition, and neglect. Today, only about 200 remain scattered across rural America. These faded arrows stand as monuments to early air travel's audacity and ingenuity. Where GPS now charts courses in digital precision, pilots once relied on 50-foot painted arrows on the ground. Though no longer essential, the remaining arrows serve as waypoints for aviation's history. Number 17. Monastery. Perched on a pillar in Georgia. Reaching for the heavens atop a sheer rock spire in Georgia's Svaneti region stands Katski Pillar, a medieval monastery accessible only by scaling a 130-foot ladder bolted to the cliffside. Originally built in the 9th or 10th century, this secluded church sits perched atop a limestone monolith over 600 feet high. To reach the entrance, visitors must climb the rickety ladder dangling precariously alongside the stone pinnacle. The ascent can take up to 30 minutes for the sure-footed and stout of heart. Access is often barred in icy conditions. While treacherous, the climb is considered a solemn spiritual journey for Georgian Orthodox monks. Inside, Katski Pillar consists of a chapel and hermitage carved from the mountaintop with dramatic views of the valley below. The church has stood abandoned for centuries but was restored in the 1990s. On religious holidays, priests still make the daring ascent to hold services there. For hermit monks seeking isolation and a sense of detachment, Katski Pillar provides an extreme retreat. Beyond just symbolic height, its true elevation comes from being cut off from worldly ties, suspended between the earth below and the vault of the heavens. Number 16. Floating Castle in France. Rising incongruously from the sea along France's western coast stands Fort Boyard, a 17th century fortress whose imposing walls and turrets appear stranded atop the waves. From a distance, the stout stone structure looks like a medieval castle detached from the mainland and left afloat in the Atlantic. Construction began in 1699 under Louis XIV as part of France's coastal defenses, situated to protect the nearby port of Rochefort with its cannons. But work halted after cost overruns nearly bankrupted the project. For over a century, the unfinished Fort Boyard sat abandoned, a curiosity for passing ships. Finally, in the 1800s, Napoleon directed its completion, adding thick masonry walls, interior buildings, and a tower atop the circular fortress. But technology had progressed faster than construction. By the time Fort Boyard was operational, its cannons could no longer reach enemy ships, which now had longer-range guns. So this immense seafaring citadel was obsolete before its first battle. Nonetheless, Fort Boyard endures as an oddity of military history and an endearing seaside attraction. Too small for permanent occupation, its chambered interior offers tours for visitors willing to brave the windswept tidal passage. Number 15. Secret Government Complex in North Dakota. Tucked amidst the remote farmlands of northeast North Dakota lies a sprawling government facility that resembles a scene from dystopian science fiction. This is the Stanley R. Mickelson Safeguard Complex, a classified U.S. defense site housing a warren of underground tunnels, futuristic pyramid structures, and a phalanx of creepy satellite dishes. Built in 1975 at the peak of the Cold War, the complex was designed to both monitor global airspace for threats and launch counter-strike missiles if needed. The imposing concrete buildings were capable of housing hundreds of military personnel to carry out these sensitive operations.
The re-entry vehicle comes in from the right.
After being deactivated in 1976, the eerie, abandoned site took on an aura of mystery. The prominent pyramid design spawned myths that it was actually an alien base. In truth, the pyramids contained powerful radar antennae to detect incoming nuclear warheads. In the 21st century, rising maintenance costs led the site to be demolished. Today, only one pyramid remains, stripped of equipment. Gone are the armed guards, military vehicles, and secrets buried below. The vacant pyramid stands empty, yet undeniably ominous, like the towering husk of an extinct metal beast. Number 14. Woman found inside a tree trunk. In 2010, construction workers clearing land for new buildings in Zurich, Switzerland uncovered a macabre sight: a hollowed-out tree trunk containing the remains of a woman. Dressed in a wool coat and sheepskin boots, forensic analysis revealed she was over 2,500 years old, dating to around 750 BC. Examination of the well-preserved skeleton indicated she was approximately 40 years old at the time of death. Her diet consisted of starchy, sweet foods uncommon for ancient Celtic peoples, suggesting high social status. She wore bronze jewelry, including an intricate belt chain. Iron items also adorned her garb. Researchers believe she was placed in the tree while still intact, as no damage was found to her bones. Though her identity remains unknown, the Celts may have selected large trees as natural crypts for individuals of prominence. Hollowed trunks provided shelter for the deceased, returning them metaphorically to the womb of the Earth Mother. This woman's chance discovery centuries later offers a glimpse into early Celtic death rites. How she came to rest inside that tree, and who laid her body within, are ancient secrets that endure. Her enigmatic fate serves as a portal to imagine life in a misty, primeval Zurich. Number 13. Death Valley's Sailing Stones. Strewn across California's arid Death Valley lie scenes of geological impossibility. Large rocks that seemingly glide across the flat valley floor unaided, leaving meandering trails behind them. Called sailing stones, these mysterious wanderers have puzzled scientists for decades. The stones range from pebbles to boulders over 300 kilograms in mass. They journey great distances, up to hundreds of meters, with no known force propelling them. Trails reveal the rocks zigzag erratically, even changing direction mid-path. A few have traveled for multiple kilometers. In the early 1900s, geologists researching the stones saw no movement firsthand. But returning years later, the rocks had clearly slid, their trails tracing back like slow-motion whirlwinds. Perplexed, academics proposed theories from magnetic fields to animal pushing, but no explanations sufficed. Finally, in the 2010s, hydrologists shed light on the phenomenon through the ice raft hypothesis. Thin ice sheets that form on the valley floor create a slick medium to dislodge rocks. The wind then drags the frozen rocks across the playa, leaving wandering trails. Mystery solved. Number 12. Viaduct stretching into midair. Winding through the dense Brazilian jungle is an elevated railway viaduct with a unique, visually confounding feature. It ends abruptly in midair, without connecting to anything on either side. This bizarre architectural site is the Viaduct Petrobras, an oil pipeline support built in the 1980s. Rather than spanning between 2 points over a valley or river, the Viaduct Petrobras forms a semicircular arc before terminating in the jungle canopy, like an enormous concrete appendage. It rises over 200 feet tall at its highest point. The viaduct allows oil pipelines to cross high above the jungle floor below. From a distance, the huge structure looks like an unfinished bridge leading nowhere. Sections progressively drop off and disappear into vegetation, giving no indication of where the massive viaduct ultimately leads. This disorienting effect results from the viaduct's specialized function. It was built not for transportation, but strictly as an overpass easing the transit of oil through the region. Elevating the pipes over other obstacles like roads and railways exemplifies industrial infrastructure repurposed as an artistic form. The viaduct's surreal, gravity-defying contours have become a destination for adventurous backpackers. Number 11. Giant Spiral in the Egyptian Desert. Etched into the sands of Egypt's western desert is a cryptic work of land art, a triple spiral landscape sculpture spanning over a mile in diameter. Called Desert Breath, its precise rings and radiating arms form a hypnotic labyrinth when viewed from above. Constructed in 1997 near the Red Sea Mountains, the installation was the work of artist Dast Artim. Its 8 arms extend 3,000 feet from a central conical hill, delineated by shallow channels dug into the desert floor. The entire pattern repeats 3 times, resulting in a vast meditation labyrinth of sorts, imprinted onto the land. For the first decade, Desert Breath remained unknown and unseen save for the artists. But with the advent of widely available satellite imagery, an influx of internet guesses arose regarding its origins, ranging from alien messages to portals of energy. Recently, it has been rediscovered as a man-made earthwork. The installation was designed to gradually disappear as winds fill in its contours over time. Today, sections have begun wearing away, returning the art piece to the domain of the desert. When ultimately reclaimed by the sands, desert breath will leave an enigma for future generations to unearth. Number 10. Giant hand sculpture in Chile. Rising from the sands along a desert highway in Chile is an imposing 36-foot-tall concrete hand. Gripping the sloped terrain, its fingers outstretched, the sculpture strikes an iconic pose before a backdrop of sweeping sand dunes. This is La Mano del Desierto, or the Hand of the Desert. Constructed in 1992, it was the brainchild of Chilean sculptor Mario Irarrázaval. Built with an iron frame and molded concrete around rebar bones, the hand emerges from the Atacama as though it were buried and attempting to free itself. For travelers cruising the route between Antofagasta and Taltal, it has become an unexpected roadside attraction. The Atacama is the driest desert on Earth, with some areas having never received a single drop of rain. Stopping places are rare along the barren stretches between towns. That's why the massive hand towering over the landscape holds such novelty. It punctuates the seemingly endless desert, a playful surprise and photo op for weary drivers. In a harsh environment like the Atacama, a simple sculpture becomes a stunning marvel. The hand invites imaginations to ponder what other secrets may lie beneath the desert surface, waiting to be unearthed. Number 9. Mysterious lake appears overnight in Tunisia. In 2014, a drought-stricken region of Tunisia awoke one morning to find a massive lake had appeared virtually overnight. Spread over 1 hectare and containing over 1 million cubic meters of water, the lake provided a reprieve from stifling 40°C heat for locals. No one had witnessed the lake form. Some shepherds had passed the area one day and saw only arid land. The next morning, a lake had materialized. Authorities warned the water could be carcinogenic, as its formation was unexplained. But sweltering residents flocked to its cool blue waters anyway. The mysterious lake became known locally as Gafsa Beach. Some even swam and relaxed along its coastline, unconcerned about the water's origins. Proposed explanations included seismic activity, shifts of underlying aquifers, or fractures in the desert rock. Geologists believed an earthquake may have violently forced groundwater to the surface, creating Gafsa's surprise oasis. Similar formations have occasionally occurred in the desert, due to shocks disrupting subterranean water reserves. Whatever the cause, Gafsa Beach remains a legendary anomaly, materializing out of nowhere when it was needed most. For a time, it transformed the remote desert into a haven. Its appearance will likely inspire stories passed down for generations, and some hold out hope that it may spring forth again one day if the drought persists. Number 8. Oasis of mosquitoes in the Sahara. Hundreds of miles from civilization in the scorching Sahara lies an unexpected sight, a sprawling oasis dotted with pools of water. But looks can be deceiving. This isn't a relaxing tropical paradise. It's infested with swarms of hungry mosquitoes, giving it the name Hawaftea, the oasis of mosquitoes. Hawaftea lies in Libya, centered around a volcanic crater over 2 miles wide. Pools fed by underground springs dot the surrounding 10 to 20 miles of ash fields. To any tired traveler trekking the vast desert, its waters may seem a blessing. But once in the oasis, mosquitoes emerge in droves, ruthless and unrelenting. Hence, it is a rather unappealing name. Centuries ago, the oasis was actually used as a rest stop by caravans crossing the Sahara. Travelers could camp nearby and replenish their water supplies relatively safely. But the thick swarms made leaving a necessity once refreshed. The deep waters also breed crocodiles, adding another element of danger. In harsh desert environments like the Sahara, though, any water and shade is a precious commodity, even if exacting a price in blood. The mosquitoes are simply the cost some are willing to pay for access to the oasis's resources. And so Hawaftea remains an infamous legend, its waters both coveted and cursed for wayfarers braving the endless sands. Number 7. Massive stone sphere hidden in Bosnia. In April 2016, archaeologist Dr. Samir Osmanagic uncovered a bizarre and puzzling discovery deep in the forests of Bosnia. A gigantic sphere made of stone measuring over 10 feet in diameter and weighing an estimated 30 tons. Its origins and creation method remain hotly debated. Osmanagic claimed the perfectly rounded boulder was evidence of lost civilizations with advanced tools and skills predating recorded history. Cut from a hard form of sandstone, the sphere's sheer size and precision he insisted would require technology beyond that of primitive cultures. No chisel marks are present. Mainstream experts harshly rejected these bold claims, stating that its shape likely resulted from natural processes. Its composition does indicate a high degree of hardness, making carving the object by hand implausible. The bizarre find fueled both conspiracies and skeptics. While its true origins remain ambiguous, the Bosnian stone sphere is an intriguing instance of anomalous geology and a catalyst for rethinking history. If indeed crafted by prehistoric hands, it would force a radical reimagining of our ancestral past. The buried megalith waits silently, immune to the debates swirling around it. Number 6. King Richard III's car park grave. Beneath an ordinary parking lot in central England lay hidden the long-lost remains of a notorious English monarch, King Richard III. His body was exhumed in 2012, solving a centuries-old mystery regarding the fate of the king's corpse following his demise in battle. Richard III ruled England for just 2 years before dying at Bosworth Field in 1485, ending the War of the Roses. Chroniclers recorded that his battered body was slung over a horse and taken to Leicester for rushed burial, but the exact location was lost over time. That's when amateur historian Philippa Langley took interest in a city council car park in Leicester, suspecting it may lie above where Richard was interred. Though initially seeming far-fetched, an excavation soon uncovered the king's remains exactly where she had guessed. The find was confirmed by DNA testing. Rather than some lavish cathedral tomb, one of England's most notorious kings lay forgotten under tarmac and Toyotas for over 500 years. After retrieval, Richard's bones were reburied with honor at Leicester Cathedral. The once-lost monarch had reclaimed both his grave and his fame. Now it's time for today's subscriber pick. Desert warfare is the art of combat in arid or semi-arid landscapes, where the environment poses unique challenges. The drone makes a chilling discovery in the middle of nowhere by accident. Notably, Operation Desert Storm stands out as a stark example, marking a 43-day-long air campaign, complemented by 4 days of ground operations by the United States and its coalition partners against Iraq. Despite this historical backdrop, a recent image, anonymously uploaded by a drone operator, exposes a massive gathering of military vehicles in the very heart of the desert. Against the backdrop of the intense global politics of 2023, the implications of such a significant military presence in the Middle East cannot be overlooked. With tensions between nations seemingly approaching a boiling point, what do you think of this development? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Number 5. Strange shapes spotted in China's Gobi Desert. Mysterious structures resembling ritual shapes, spirals, and machinery have been spotted within China's barren Gobi Desert by online explorers scanning satellite photos. These features carved into the remote landscape fueled intense speculation regarding their origins and purpose. Many theorized they were evidence of extraterrestrials or ancient civilizations creating massive ground drawings. More mainstream views proposed they were Cold War weapons testing sites or reference points related to China's space program and military operations. Recently, a likely explanation has emerged. The desert formations are calibration targets for China's spy satellites. The country's surveillance network photographs the markings to fine-tune focus, alignment, and other imaging system settings. This explains their organized geometric designs and grid layouts. While not as romantic as Lost Kingdoms or alien spacecraft, the reality of these strange desert shapes reveals the sheer scale of Chinese technological capabilities, able to photograph patterns at 28,000 kilometers for adjustment. What to some looked supernatural proved decidedly down to earth under scrutiny. Number 4. Mysterious green mask unearthed in Minnesota. In 2020, A Minnesota man made an unsettling discovery while hunting for fossils after heavy rains had churned the earth. Nestled in the mud was a humanoid mask of weathered green copper, stained by time. Its hollow eyes and primitive features evoked an air of menace, like an angry spirit peering out from the soil. The finder brought the mask to a museum curator, hoping to identify its origins. Its aged patina suggested ancient roots, perhaps a burial relic of native peoples in the region. But upon closer inspection, the mask's material composition told a different story. Analysis showed the object was over 98% copper with traces of silicon and manganese, a combination consistent with modern metal alloys. The mask's color resulted from oxidation, not the leaching of centuries. It was a convincing imitation of antiquity, but further study revealed the object likely originated around the 1960s. In the end, the mask was determined to be a contemporary artwork made to resemble an artifact. Though not as old as it first appeared, the mask's mystique reminds us that the line between reality and imagination often blurs upon gazing into the past. Even in our modern era, some still feel the pull of distant history. Number 3. Steel dungeon found hidden underground. In 2019, 2 daring urban explorers in Germany uncovered a maze of sinister concrete tunnels buried deep below the surface. Prying open a rusted steel door, they descended warily into the gloomy passageways, only to find an expansive complex filled with mysterious relics and decrepit machinery. Many rooms were flooded with murky water, while others contained beds, sinks, and military-style lockers, hinting at permanent occupation long ago. Strange devices of unknown purpose lurked in deeper chambers. Graffiti messages warned of dangers ahead, some recent but a few dating back decades. Online speculation swirled regarding the true nature of the subterranean lair, with theories ranging from a secret government site to a World War II bunker. But details eventually surfaced identifying it as a likely World War communications bunker that was later sealed and abandoned. While less thrilling than sci-fi speculations, the relic bunker still offered a riveting portal into the past. Forgotten places lurk beneath our feet everywhere, time capsules waiting to envelop us in their mysteries. All we must do is pry open the door. Number 2. Prehistoric giant armadillo shell discovered. Wandering near his home in Buenos Aires one day, a man spotted a peculiar shape eroding from a riverbank. Approaching closer, he saw the clearly defined oblong form of a massive shell embedded in the mud. It resembled a giant egg, over 3 feet long and 2 feet wide. He immediately notified his wife, positing it could be a dinosaur egg. As no living animal possesses an egg-like shell that is enormous, prehistory seemed the only explanation. Scientists were promptly called to investigate the anomalous finding. Upon inspection, the experts determined the object was indeed a shell, but not a dinosaur's. It belonged to an ancient ancestor of the armadillo that roamed South America until 10,000 years ago, called the glyptodont. Related to modern armadillos but the size of a Volkswagen, weighing up to 2 tons and protected by thick armor, glyptodonts were walking tanks during the last ice age. Finding one's hardened shell intact today is extremely rare and offers a vivid glimpse into a bygone era in Argentina's natural history. The glyptodonts are estimated to have lived on Earth approximately 5 million years ago and reached their full size at around 20 to 25 years of age. Just another day running an errand yielded the discovery of a lifetime for one very lucky man. Number 1. World War II tank salvaged from lake. For avid history enthusiasts, unearthing even the tiniest remnants of the World Wars is a momentous feat. However, what if an entire tank were to surface from the depths of time? In the year 2020, an extraordinary event unfolded as a Soviet-era tank, having slumbered at the lake bed in Estonia for decades, emerged into the daylight, astonishingly well preserved. This captivating retrieval mission found its genesis in the vivid recollection of a local resident, who, based on his childhood memory, had witnessed tank tracks disappearing into the waters of the same lake during the 1960s. When he was a boy, diving training was occurring at the lake. After seeing the tracks, he followed them into the water and saw bubbles rising mysteriously from the depths. but the child could investigate no further at the time. Nearly 50 years later, the now-grown man relayed the story to a group of war historians who were intrigued enough to scan the lake. Sonar revealed a T-34 tank dating from World War II nestled on the lake bed. The historians initiated a recovery operation, successfully hauling the relic tank from its watery grave. Inside, they found various artifacts, ammunition, and even human remains preserved by the cold water. Identified markings on the tank showed it was captured from the Nazis by the Soviets during World War II's famous Cinemad battle. This remarkable time capsule offered a poignant glimpse directly into wartime over half a century ago due to one man's perseverance. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.